You really need to talk to the folks here at Next Level. I've got to tell you, just speaking to the people here, they are fired up, they get it, they've got the right balance, and they're all increasing their income, they're increasing their production.
But you're dealing with people that are in the trenches dealing with this, are practitioners, had failures, had successes, learned from it, and it's about helping you not just like get through the next month, but it's about creating legacy business for yourself.
But I can tell you that you are mission focused. I know you're purpose focused, and I can tell you that every loan officer that I've communicated with that's been part of your platform has been a raving fan.
This is the Next Level Loan Officers Podcast, a proud founding member of the Real Disrupt Podcast Collaborative. You can check out more awesome podcasts at realdisrupt.com. And now, Kenneth Travis and Sean Zalmanoff.
What's up, everybody? Sean Zalmanoff here with our Next Level Loan Officers Podcast. We are just rolling off our mastermind, and we had a great 4 days, a couple with our new members that came to our live event, and then our mastermind that rolled into that afterwards, man. And it was great connecting with people again in this time where human interaction is at a premium, to say the least. And today, man, we have a special guest that we're bringing to you. Just going to go on a limb and say master of branding. He's definitely got a unique spin on what he's doing, and has also an interesting career. You will not find many people on the planet who have mirrored what the mortgage nerd, as we go by here, Mike Cox, actually has done in his world. So, Mike, man, how are you today?
Fantastic, Sean, man. How are you?
I'm good. I'm fired up. I'm excited to be here. I am, because I was around a lot of people just working from home for the next few days, and making sure I still feel this great in a few days, as that's a socially responsible thing to do these days.
Sure.
But that's not what we're here to talk about. I mean, we're here to talk about you. So you've been in the industry for 22 years, correct?
Yeah, 22 years in January.
22 years in January. So it was just interesting. You worked for the same company for 21 years. It's funny because I've worked for the same company for 11 years. And my standing joke every 2 years now is, I've had 2 careers here, 4 careers here. Now I tell them I've had 5 careers at my company. And you had 10 careers at your company, based on what I consider the 2-year longevity of a lot of loan officers. Now, in order to have 2 years of longevity, that means there has to be a lot of people that switch and a lot of us that stay. So, just as preface that doesn't mean you should start switching your company right now. So you were 21 years with the same correspondent lender, and now you opened up your own broker shop just a little over 11 months ago.
Yep. So I'm a firm believer in relationships and developing strong strategic relationships. And so that's why I stayed with the company that I did. I had really, really good relationships for a long time. The president of that company stood up in my wedding. So it makes it a little bit harder to make the switch, to a different company or broker, retail. It doesn't really matter. It's still a challenge, but yes, early this year, moved over to the broker world, and it's been going very well.
Just before we get into you, because I want to talk about your brand, but for everybody listening right now, like the number of people who reach out to myself and the other coaches at Next Level about switching companies, and there are a lot of companies out there who are going to do something better than the place that you're at, but they probably are going to do some things worse than the place that you're at as well too. And with the epic amount of volume that is going through the system right now, man, maybe the end of next year will be a good time for you to switch, or another time. But if your loans are closing, like, the people right now, and the people that you trust, and the people that are getting your loans done, gosh, they're probably a lot better fit than you making a mistake of going and switching companies. I've talked to a lot of people who have made the move in March or May or June, because they just thought they had to, because they were just promised this grass that was so much greener. Come to find out, it wasn't. And they've just kicked themselves in the tail during the course of these last 6 or 8 months, because they've actually, even though they thought a situation was going to be better, they've lost out on a ton of business because it wasn't greener and there were different issues. And so
that's always a challenge. Like, do you move? When do you move? Is it going to be better? You don't really know until you go. So you really got to be careful when you do that kind of stuff. But I would even say that I've talked to a lot of people that were working for a brokerage, right? And they wanted to go on their own. I don't think, you don't know what you don't know. Once you get out there and you all the compliance and all the things, there's so much time that's taken away from actual production. Not everybody should be a broker owner. You know what I'm saying? It's just, depending on your model, there's so much time and energy that goes into making sure you're 100% compliant and doing things the right way. It just depends on who you are.
Yeah, I was a broker owner for a 5-year stint until 11 years ago. And the beginning of my time, it was taking about a half a day a month to run the business. And when I finally switched, it was taking about a half a day a week to run the business. And as me being at that time, I was the guy, like it was all about my origination. It didn't make sense anymore. And that was, we were
Right.
heading into the Great Recession and all that at that time. And that's why I chose that. But it's funny you say that you don't know what you don't know. Like we have something that we talk about all the time of like, what you know what you don't know. But you don't know what you don't know. And that's really where the realm of growth and everything truly happens in our world when we embrace that and plug into people like next level who can help you, or guys like Mike who are masters at branding, dude. So tell me a little bit about your team.
But not a master, because people lose their egos. And even if you say you're really good at something, you can always pick up nuggets from somebody else, right? So that's my philosophy is education. Oh yeah, I already know how to do Facebook ads. I'm going to watch this thing anyway, because I might get one little nugget that I didn't think of because I don't know what I don't know. Or I watch it and go, oh, yep, same thing I got. You know what I mean? Like constantly educating. That's where the nerd philosophy comes from. Education and just mastering your craft.
I mean, I'm not a Tom Brady fan, but like, he knows more about being quarterback than all the rest of us put together listening to this podcast and watching this podcast, and that will ever see this podcast know about being quarterback. And he is constantly improving his craft, which is why he has had the success for the amount of years that he's put it together.
Yeah. So you want to know about our team?
Yeah, man. Tell me a little bit about it.
So there's 12 of us. We have 2 processors, 2 LOAs, and the rest are originators. The way it's basically set up is we have individual loan officers, and then we have a team. So myself and my partner and an LOA, technically 2 LOAs. We do them basically half of the business for the entire company, and then everybody else, does the other half. So we have I've done a lot of production over the years. In the last couple of years, I love marketing, man. It feeds my soul. Like I love to create something out of nothing, be creative, throw it out there, and just get loans from it, and then provide value to our business partners. Like that's what gives me a rush. And so I really started spending more time and energy on that. And then I just handed off all my deals to my partner and created that team dynamic and worked on that workflow. So that's kind of how we're set up. We have one large team of individual loan officers. But then I also have a video marketing guy on staff, and then also a podcast guy on staff as well.
What so people like just have a frame of reference, like how much business you close in these days? How much you closed last year in 2020?
Well, 2020 we're averaging close to 10,000 or 10 million a month. So half of that's our team, half's everybody else. The challenge was we started being a broker when we left in January, but it takes a while to get set up. When I left my last company, I didn't do anything to get licensed. Out of respect, I don't want them to think I was taking deals. So we had a huge 2-month lull of, scrambling, getting things ready. So we didn't really start producing till March,
the
April.
Absolute perfect time of the last 10 years to open up a broker shop in March is when you started producing.
Right. So it was such, like when we switched over, it was like the chains came off. It was so amazing. All the flexibility that we had to be in a broker and the rates that we had, amazing. We were just seriously, one of my loan officers left her crying. She was so happy. Like, just we're getting into it. And then a few weeks later, the Rona hits. But we did a video about the Rona and all the things that changes, and that had over 50,000 views.
Nice.
So that was pretty cool. But then we just took our lumps like everybody else during this challenging time. We were trying to figure out our investors who we're going to use yet. We didn't know their workflow, we didn't know what to expect. We're new, so it was a rough year, like rough. Did a ton of production. It's just painful. And what I love about the community of LOs and that kind of stuff, retailer, broker, whatever, they're the only people I can talk to that understand the pain that you go through to get a mortgage transaction closed sometimes. You can't explain it to anybody else. So the emotion, all the stress and all the moving parts, nobody else gets it. So it was a challenging year, but a good one.
Yeah, no, it's hard to explain the pain. It's hard to explain the reward that's at the end of that pain as well too. And it's hard to tell a client that, this other person's purchase may just be a little more important than their refinance, even though their refinance is incredibly important. Like if you close 4 days different than when you want to close, it doesn't matter for you.
And I just didn't know that I had to pick lending partners that thought like I did, that, you don't move a turn time on a purchase. You don't move it from 5-day and underwrite to 18 days. Like that doesn't make sense because now you're missing closing dates. Anybody that found that acceptable, I had to make a business decision and said, we're not using that lender. Those are all things that we had to work through, which is very, very challenging, which honestly, we're here to talk about branding. A lot of the heartache that I had if you miss a loan closing, that hurts your brand. Like, so you do so much to build up your brand, but you can tear down a brand in a couple months, really, if you do it right. So really trying to protect the brand. Once you build one up, protecting it is everything as well.
Yeah, I started to scale my business substantially about 8 years ago, and then the business got ahead of the staff, and I had to go on a little bit of an apology tour as we missed consecutive closing dates with quite a few agents and push it back and explain what, they weren't drastic. It was a couple of days here and a couple of days there, but unfortunately it happened to quite a few loans. And it really taught me about building my infrastructure, which has been all of what 2020 has been about, and not adding loan officers, but adding processors and adding loan partners and really having that built, because almost everybody on my team's doubled their business this year. And so
you have a great process that makes it easier, but also again, relationships. You hear me mention that a lot. Everybody here does. So if you have strong relationships with those realtors where you missed closings, they'll be upset, but they'll also be, let's move on to the next one, because you provide so much value, because maybe you lead gen, maybe you market with them, whatever it is that you do to provide value to that person. That's different for everybody. But if you're pouring into that relationship, those things aren't as big a deal. It is with somebody else that you have no relationship with, because those tell you right to your face, I am never using you again, because they don't know you. There's no connection. There's no emotion, right? That's why we spend so much time developing that relationship, to make sure that if something does go south, we have that comfort zone, that bubble. Or on the other end, because we like to hold realtors accountable too, we feel comfortable telling them, listen, you can't write an offer this way. We can't work together effectively and meet at closing time when you're adding all this stuff in, or you're sending in the home inspection, just doing silly stuff. So we open that up and have those honest conversations with them.
So tell me about the Mortgage Nerd. Where did that come about, and how do you leverage that brand?
So Mortgage Nerds came out of a necessity. So I worked for retail. I was partnered with somebody in a branch. Did not like that's the way they wanted to run the business. So I split off from them, literally 3 miles down the road right now. So we were the same company, same name. That's where you need a brand. You need to identify yourself. And it's the same thing inside of a company. You want to identify yourself inside. If you're an individual LO, you want to stand out. You want to be you. You want to drive traffic to you specifically, and not their website. So I was in Vegas at one of the mortgage seminars, and on the way home, I was searching for names, and I think when I think nerd, I think the positive way, like a sexy nerd. Like, I respect a nerd that, that crushes it, educates themselves, and,
Oh yeah, when somebody calls me a nerd, I'm like, thank you. That's a
yeah.
compliment. Yeah.
So some people are like, oh, they don't like it. That's whatever. I love being called a nerd, especially when it comes to mortgages, because I take a lot of pride in that. So I was messing around with it, found the URL that I really wanted, mortgagenerds.com. It was somebody else already had it, but they weren't using it. Long story short, back then you could contact the owner. I contacted the owner, got it for $1,000. By the time the plane landed at mortgagenerds.com, and then was just started that journey of how do I build that brand and then pull myself away from the company.
So was that just this year that the Mortgage Nerds was created, or how many years ago did that?
Like 5 or 6 years ago. I could go back and look. So that's what was really weird. So I built such a strong brand under Mortgage Nerds. When I left retail and opened up my own place, it just went from Mortgage Nerds powered by the company I used to work for to Mortgage Nerds. I just dropped it. Nobody knew that anything changed, right? So it didn't interrupt my business, and phone number's still the same, website's still the same. It was a really nice transition.
Yeah, I mean that's an important thing for loan officers to know. Like I know people who work at small companies. I know people who work at medium-sized and very large companies as well too. And the right managers will support your brand because they know that it only helps you get business. And it's really an abundance mindset. It's knowing that if they do the right things to support you, you're not doing this. I mean, Mike had that brand for 5 years before he left that company that made everybody there probably a fair amount of money. And so it's not a bad thing. And so, whenever you're talking to somebody about, hey, I want my own brand, or, like we're the Sean Z team, like everybody knows that I can be the Sean Z team anywhere. And we will be able to be successful with that. And you're right, companies always know that too. So,
and I would look at that. If you're looking to, maybe you are looking to switch to companies, will they let you build your own brand? Because the company I worked for they encouraged it. And they're one of the reasons I was able to build my brand, my website, do all that kind of stuff. They felt confident enough that I was going to be there for life. I was there for so long anyway, but they allowed everybody to do it, not just me. So if you have a company that nurtures that and really wants you to build your brand, they're confident in what they offer, they're confident in your abilities. I mean, we were the top producing branch forever. And, we had options, but they just felt very comfortable that they were offering, what they needed to keep us. And you want a company that does that.
Yeah. So where are you at? YouTube, Facebook, Instagram? Like, how is this brand out there, and what's the message that's being conveyed?
So Mortgage Nerds, I really, really focus on Facebook. Well, what launched me really was Craigslist when that was a thing. So what we do is we market all of our realtors listings, but we put a financing spin to it, like buy this house with little money down, or that kind of stuff. Yeah. We take the product that everybody wants, it's nice and sexy, the home, and then we apply it to what we do. And depending on certain geographical locations, maybe it's no money down, in USDA, all that kind of stuff. We have all these really cool ads. We used to put them on Craigslist. We get tons of transactions out of it. Eventually converted to Facebook. We're really, really good at Facebook marketing, lead generation, targeting, all that fun stuff. My downfall is I don't do Instagram. I don't do anything else but Facebook. Don't do that. You need to diversify. Gary Vee will tell you, 3 to 4 different platforms, all that stuff. I'm just so far into Facebook, and it works so well, and it's so cheap for what you get. It's hard for me to just go take the time and do the other stuff. So,
man, can I offer a different opinion on that, Mike?
Sure.
Like you're probably at the point where you can, I know you already have some people on your team where they can do the research to outsource that and go into a different medium. But I know a couple loan officers. Alan Christian, he's one of our private coaching clients too, and he kills it on BombBomb and Facebook. And if you have something that works incredibly well, I mean, pour more gas on it. What you don't want to do, and like people come to our live events and our our masterminds, and then they go and they're like, yeah, I want to do this and I'm going to do this. And like, no, like pick the one thing, become a master of that one thing. And I mean, when it's all of a sudden spitting off 10, 15 deals a month, because there's only a few billion people on Facebook, so it can do that. Like then go do something else. So Mike's right that he does need to, it would benefit him to diversify.
I have a prospector on my Instagram for me because she's 21. So
yeah,
all right, you're in charge of my Instagram now. And she could become the master of that. We can co-market that way. But I'm really into Facebook. We do a ton of videos. So I'll go to the store and people will say, hey, I see all your videos. Like that's the biggest compliment to me is I see your stuff everywhere. Your financing signs, your videos on Facebook, your flyer, whatever it is. I'm like, yes, I'm everywhere.
I mean, I even have loan officers from some of our retargeting pixels that are in other states are like, dude, can you stop marketing to me? I'm like, stop clicking on my website to check me out, man. And eventually I'll go away.
You're interested. We know you are. Like, I wish people would so my philosophy when it comes to marketing is that, first of all, you're a marketing company. Every loan officer out there is a marketing company first. You happen to sell mortgages. If you had that mindset that put marketing first and then mortgages second, you still got to master your craft at mortgages. But if you're the best mortgage guy and nobody knows about you, what's the point? Like, you have.
Were you at our mastermind?
No.
Okay. I thought you might've been hiding like behind one of the signs or something.
Why did you guys talk about that?
Well, that was the theme. It was like, you are the CEO of your own marketing company who happens to do mortgages. And when you are the CEO of your own marketing company, you really can take the way that you're benefiting your realtors and your partners to a different level. And then,
but it's a mindset shift. People are like, oh yeah, I get it. I've been saying this for years, but I just know people won't do it. Because like, I got this deal that's blowing up and I got to deal with that. I get that. That needs to be done. But if you had a mindset shift and you posted a Facebook ad and did it really creative, it was your thought, you were able to do it all, get it out there, post it, boost it, get the engagement, get the application, and then hand it to your realtor partner a couple days later. Like if that doesn't jack you up, like and give you like adrenaline rush, like I created that. I got that lead through, my own process, and I can do that 1,000 times this year, So that's what I want people to do.
Chasing you around.
What's that?
Then agents start chasing you around.
Well, that's it. I don't go to agents. I mean, we've got our set group of agents we work with, but there's an agent that moved in right down our building here for a year. We never went over there, never did anything. I'm not bringing donuts, Eventually they came over because we never did, and like, hey, we should do stuff together. I hear good things. Okay. We had that conversation. I like to be on the other end of it, right? Providing value and stuff rather than asking for something. I don't want to ask for anything.
Amen, brother. Because it was like you're saying, like when stuff did get messed up in my business 8 years ago, like the people who were my partners, like they rose to the top and were still doing most of their transactions today because they understood me. They valued what we brought to the table. And, I found a few that we were working with for a long time that I just happened to be really good for a long time. But I was really only as good as my last transaction. And they rose to the top too. And I punted. Like, I just don't need to spend any time or effort on those people. And either do you, anybody listening or watching us right now in your business. Like, it doesn't matter where you're at. If you're dealing with somebody who doesn't value you, there's 5 other people who do, and go find them. It'll change your business. It will change your life. It'll change how you show up to work. And you'll just be a much happier dude or dudette because of it.
It's a mindset though. Like, I think that comes with confidence. So if you are mastering your craft and you're really confident that you're good at mortgages, you save mortgages, you understand guidelines, you can come from a place of, I don't need to chase you, realtor. Like, I don't understand that dynamic. I am the one, I can save a deal. I'm really good at mortgages. Plus I can give deals. Like, it needs to be the flip. Like, here's an idea for anybody that wants, I always hear like, well, how do I get new realtor relationships? I have never done this, full disclosure, but I want to someday when I need to. People like bring donuts to realtors. Before you do that, run a lead ad, go on Facebook, run a lead ad campaign that says, get a list of homes that qualify for $1,000 down, open house this weekend, which is every house in your market, whatever. Get 12 leads, put them on a little thing, bring the donuts in and put the name, phone number, and email address of every lead on a donut and bring it in and say, hey, I'd love to work with you guys. By the way, there's 12 leads on here. Give me a call if any of them work out. Like, that's powerful rather than, hey, I do mortgages.
And you know what? Nobody else in your market's doing that.
Right.
Yes.
You'll stand out.
It's always funny. People are, they come to our events or the schedule some time with us, and it's like, well, you're telling me everything. What else is there? And I was like, well, there's more to add on. But as far as the subject you're asking about, like, that is everything. And they're like, why are you telling me? Because you're not going to do it anyway. It doesn't matter.
It's just it. Yeah. It's just, I had a for sale by owner company many years ago. I went to give presentations on how to do it and how to open your own. And people said, why are you doing this? I can compete with you. I'm like, this is so much work. I know nobody's going to do this. I know they won't. There's a select few, right? But I encourage people to think differently and make the flip. Don't go to coffee with your realtor. Give them a deal. Don't call them and ask them, how do I, get your business? Give them business. That's how you build a relationship, by giving, not taking.
Hey, Mike, so if somebody wants to check you out, see what your branding is, see what you're doing, and, again, they're not going to copy it anyway.
By the way, I'm cool with they are. I tell everybody, steal it, stand on the shoulders of giants, take it, make it your own. I don't really care. What
website do they go to? Facebook? Where should they check you out at?
Yep, mortgagenerds.com is our website, and then Mortgage Nerds on Facebook. Mortgage Nerds Wisconsin, you should put, and then you'll find us there. Awesome. We do lots of videos and unique content, giveaways, all that fun stuff.
You've got a strategy right there, friends, that all you have to do is rinse and repeat in your market. Hey, and if you happen to be 4 doors down from Mike and you're listening to this, at least, man, do the guy solid. Put a little different spin on it, but it's right there for you. And probably if they see your video anyway, they know it's his brand and they're just going to go call him anyway. So probably really doesn't matter at all. They're like, hey man, you changed. You're like 6'10", you got blonde hair, but you're still the mortgage nerd. So I'm calling you instead. I really appreciate everybody listening to us, Mike. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to move the needle and help loan officers in our world. That's what we do at Next Level, friends. And if you need anything, reach out to us. Support at nextlevello.com. We have huge changes as owners of mortgage companies, as people who run mortgage companies and guys who originate every day. We meet and we are changing our business model every year. And we have a very big shift that we're doing to help more loan officers in 2021. So if you're interested in finding out about that, holler at us. We would love to show you. Appreciate you all listening and watching today. Have an awesome week and an awesome day, y'all.